Hey there, Stephen Lovely here for CordCutting.com with another streaming review. This time we're breaking down the live TV streaming service Sling TV. Let's dive in. So what is Sling TV exactly? Well, it's a live TV streaming service, and in this case it's a multi-channel service, which just means what it sounds like. It has multiple channels. You already know multi-channel services as cable and satellite, but this is a new kind of streaming service, or a new kind of multi-channel service, I should say, that is also a streaming service. It's not that new, but Sling TV was the first. It came out in around 2015-16 and rollout that kind of put it just a step ahead of competitor PlayStation View, which unfortunately is no longer with us. Now there's a few of these in the market, and Sling TV has some company and some competitors, but this whole entire idea is only a few years old. It's only about half a decade old. So far so good though. While it's a small market, it's a growing one, and it brings some really cool things to the cord cutting world because it allows you to basically still have cable or satellite, or at least the good things about them, while still being a cord cutter. Some people aren't as big of a fan of these and they don't consider it quote unquote true cord cutting. Myself, I don't care too much. My whole idea is that with cord cutting, you don't have to sign a long-term contract. You don't have to commit to something. So if you want to spend some of the money that you save on cable or satellite to go and get basically the exact same thing but streaming, that's fine with me because Sling TV will let you quit whenever you want. You can cancel anytime, just like with Netflix. So it gives you that kind of digital freedom, that kind of untethered, cord-free, if you will, kind of life that you wouldn't necessarily get with some of the more restrictive contracts that you can now get with cable and satellite. Sling TV is the first of this sort of service, but it's also a little bit unique. The ones that came after tended to follow a little more of a basic model. With a few exceptions, Sling TV is different in that it has more modular approach, almost an a la carte approach. It's not quite to the point where you can choose channel by channel, which of course would be nice. You still have to deal with bundles or packages of channels. But with Sling TV, you're actually dealing with a few modular bundles, two major ones that you can combine into a big starter bundle, and then a bunch of little add-ons that you can use to kind of customize your bundle. The advantage there is that you could go after a more of a niche channel, something that not everybody wants, and you're a little concerned, okay, I might have to get this giant bundle if I want this, ESPN 8 or what have you. Here, you might not have to do that. You might just have to target the sports extra, and you won't find yourself paying for like 3 versions of the Hallmark channel or something just so that you can get ESPN as well. It's a little more cordoned off, a little more self-directed. You pick the kind of bundles, the kind of channels you want. You don't have to keep going up that ladder to bigger and bigger bundles. With a live TV streaming service like Sling TV, the big deal is always going to be what channels you're getting. That's the whole point of the service, and no amount of user experience or other perks is going to give you as much as that category does, at least in our review system, and I think in most people's opinion. So what are you getting with Sling TV? Well, the idea here is that Sling TV has built not one but 2 kind of basic bundles. They call them Sling Orange and Sling Blue. And they're pretty lean. When you think of the name Skinny Bundle, which you might have heard, which is what they sometimes call these live TV streaming services, this is what you're thinking of, the idea of stripping down a cable bundle, making it smaller, and therefore making it cheaper. I really like the size of Sling TV's bundles, and I love the value of them, and I like that when you combine Sling TV Blue and Sling Orange, you get a discount, which makes sense because there's actually some channel overlap in there as well. And what I really like about Sling TV is you have the ability to add on extras. Extras are add-on bundles. Sometimes they're one channel, but more often they're groups of channels that are brought together for some reason, either the same genre or something else that connects them and makes sense that people would want them together. And by grouping channels like this and allowing you to kind of build your own bundle by selecting as many or as few of these extras as you want, Sling TV gives you a lot more control over what you're actually subscribing to than, say, YouTube TV or Hulu Plus Live TV, in which case you're kind of taking or leaving one bundle that they give you. Some other services, such as Fubo, have a little bit of this kind of add-on system, but Sling TV really does this best, this kind of modular feeling. It's almost a la carte. You take what you want, you leave what you don't, and you end up paying for a bundle that you're actually going to watch. That said, when you're making something kind of lean like this, you're going to make some cuts, and Sling TV is missing some channels that I would have liked it to have. The most important of those are the major networks. As of this recording, Sling TV has 2 of them, is missing another 2. It has Fox and it has NBC in select markets only, and it is missing CBS and it is missing ABC. Now that might change in the future. It certainly has changed in the past, but right now those are pretty big omissions that are worth noting for Sling TV. But that's part of the deal here. You're getting a kind of leaner bundle. It's definitely not going for the full, comprehensive, massive bundles that you'd see at the upper end of DirecTV Streams line. It's also not going for the very, very slim approach of Philo. It's trying to meet you in the middle somewhere with a high value area. And I think for the most part it succeeds, and for the most part the cuts make sense, but those are two channels that I really wish we'd seen from Sling TV. On the user experience side, Sling TV does really well in my book. It's very simple, very straightforward, and one thing that I appreciate is the consistent experience that we get across the different platforms. Sling TV has pretty good platform support. As of this recording, you can get this app, Sling TV, for just about any streaming device that you have. Certainly all the ones that we recommend, including Roku and Fire TV. Sling TV seems to work just fine on all of them and in a very consistent way. It has your familiar channel guide kind of interface, and it also has some decent content discovery features and systems for making sure you can reserve and favorite things, watch on-demand content, search, things like that. All of it's done pretty well, pretty simply, nothing to write home about, but nothing to complain about either, which is sometimes what you want, a simple, straightforward app that you sometimes forget that you're even using. This lets you get the job done, lets you do it quickly, and lets you get to watching what you want to watch. I like the way Sling TV lets you switch between things that you're watching, between channels. It doesn't quite give you that channel surfing experience that you might get with cable, but it does about as well as the best of these services do. It's a common thing, you know, there's only so many buttons on your Roku and things like that. It's hard to do channel up, channel down, so most of them default to the sort of things that Sling TV does, things like letting you reverse to recently watched channels and sort things by genre or what's on next. I did have one beef with Sling TV's user experience though, and that was with the integration of Sling TV Orange and Sling TV Blue. These are two different bundles that you can combine into one main bundle, but they don't always feel unified. When you subscribe to both, this user interface makes a point of showing you where the channels from each bundle start and end, and you actually have a limited number of simultaneous streams that you can use on these two. And here's the weird part, they're actually different numbers. And by what I mean by that is that when you go to watch something in your house and someone else in your household is also watching it, whether or not that's possible depends on whether the channel is a Sling Orange channel or a Sling Blue channel. On one of these packages, you can only stream the channel one time, and on the other, you can stream it multiple times, again, at once. The idea being if you're in a household where more than one person's using the same app. I don't necessarily have a huge problem with the number of streams, at least on average. I think it should be more than one. But what's odd about this is that the rules don't apply equally to all channels, and that's just the nature of the way these two bundles work. And I'm not sure there was a better way to do this on the user experience side. It's just a weirdness, a weird quirk of the way that Sling TV's contracts apparently work. But it is a little odd to get used to this idea that you're really subscribing to more than one bundle. I wish that assembling the bundles made you feel like you created one unified bundle instead of like you were subscribed to several bundles at once that had different rules for settings like this. Something that I, as an end user, don't really want to be thinking about. And Sling TV, you kind of have to be aware of it. So let's catch up here. How did we do with Sling TV? How did we like it? First, the good. The flexibility and the lean starting bundles are a real plus for Sling TV. If your issue with cable was that it was too bloated, too expensive, if you felt like you were paying for stuff that you just weren't watching, Sling TV really solves that problem by coming in at a pretty good value in terms of channels and price, and by giving you that ability to dive a little deeper into a certain type of channel by going with those extras, by adding on just the sports channels or just the news channels, whatever you want to watch and what you were actually willing to pay for. The drawback that comes with that is the somewhat complex nature of Sling TV. Signing up can be a little tougher than some of the other services. And as I mentioned, there are some weird little rule changes within some of the bundles that can make it a little more confusing to use if you're trying to, for instance, stream on multiple devices at once within your household. The other big thing that I think was a knock on Sling TV is that it is missing a couple of those major networks. As of this recording, it's CBS and ABC. They've had issues with different major networks in the past and their ability to carry them for all of their viewers. And that is a little bit of a knock. You can get those in many areas with free over-the-air TV antennas, which we talk about in some other videos and talk about on the site, cordcutting.com, all the time. But you're coming here for a live TV experience, you kind of want it all in one place, and it's a shame to be missing networks that are that high profile. Same time though, this is really about a service being lean, being cost effective, getting you as much TV as they can for a very fair price. So this is definitely aimed at the sort of person that is okay with a few omissions here and there, as much as I think those are rather big ones. This is an understandable thing. They're going for that kind of market. There are more comprehensive live TV streaming services out there, such as DirecTV Stream, that are also more expensive. And there's actually one that's a little bit smaller, Philo, which omits certain genres of channels, including those major networks, and makes for an even leaner, even cheaper experience. So what you're looking at in Sling TV is something that tries to hit that middle, that sweet spot. And I think if you look at the channel list, which you'll find on cordcutting.com as well as on Sling's own website, and you like what you're seeing, I think you're gonna like this service because it really does offer that value. If the channel list is your kind of thing, then the price is gonna be right. Overall, pretty impressed with Sling TV. I think it's one of the better services of its kind. And I hope they continue to innovate and find new ways to make this even more customizable while, I hope, bringing some of those channels back. So there you have it, our Sling TV review. Thanks so much for spending time with me. One more time, I'm Stephen Lovely from cordcutting.com. Hope to see you here again soon.